some unknown gunmen have ambushed Audu Adamu Madaki, the Assistant Inspector General of Police in charge of Zone 12, and his convoy at Bad Zangidi area of Bauchi State. Politics Nigeria learned that the AIG sustained bullet injury while his orderly was shot dead in the attack, which occurred about 2:30 p.m. on Tuesday. Meanwhile, the Bauchi State Governor Bala Mohammed has declared that people of the state will not surrender their sovereignty and liberty to insurgents and banditry no matter its magnitude, saying that, in quote, "We will rise up to defend ourselves against any intrusion," end quote. He decried the bloodletting by bandits and insurgents across the state in recent times, assuring that the state government will form a strong vigilante which would work closely with security agencies to neutralize the bandits and fish out their collaborators within the communities. Mohammed also promised that his administration would deal decisively with any member of the public who would collaborate with bandits, no matter how highly placed. So that's what he said. I mean, this is sort of, I guess, the first of its kind. Of course, there have been threats just in general with bandits of different, I don't even know, of different factions, just saying they're going to attack certain politicians or attack those in government. And in this case, you know, they ambushed the Assistant Inspector General of Police. And in this time, I mean, the assistant to the AIG was actually shot dead, and the AIG himself sustained, you know, bullet wounds. So yeah, I mean, this is pretty. So we can actually say there's been, you can say, an official casualty of those that are in the security force, and this is not just anybody but the Assistant Inspector General of Police of the state. So yeah, this is pretty big. Well, kudos to the men or gunmen who know how to use the guns better than our soldiers and police. Next time, kill the AIG and top officials. Pardon the orderlies, because the orderlies are working to feed their families. Big shame on Nigeria. Big shame on armed forces. And big shame on the president. I mean, it is clearly a shame that... I mean, it's already been a shame since the times the government started negotiating and giving funds. I mean, from that time, you should have already known that you've already lost the battle, to be honest. If you're negotiating with bandits, we don't really know where your power stands, to be honest. So, yeah, it really is what it is. If they are threatening to kidnap Mr. President, who else can help us but God? I mean, they're working their way up gradually, and of course, it's in a northern state with the Inspector General or Assistant Inspector General, AIG. So they'll start, working through the ranks. And now they've killed the orderly. So, I mean, obviously it is very much scary. But what is expected, at least, even though it's just words for now, the governor of the state did say, the people will not surrender to any attack by these people. So if he's put his foot on the ground and said, this is it, I'm not trying to I'm not going to allow this to happen, then fine. But again, it's kind of too late, because it's not necessarily the governor's fight alone. It's sort of your government as a whole, and from the presidency to all of you. I mean, he can't fight it by himself if he doesn't have some sort of support. I don't know how he'd want to create directives where he's the only... I mean, again, every governor isn't every governor of a state the chief security officer of the state. So it's like you are the chief person to make sure your state is secure. So a lot will be depending on him. But then, looking at how other states have reacted as well, he can't do this fight alone if other governors in surrounding states don't also take this with as much seriousness as they should. So leave collaborators and deal with sponsors. It is then we know we are talking. Yeah, that is true. I mean, you might as well just directly say, insurgents, whoever you are, we are not surrendering, say whatever. But then you don't also have to threaten, collaborators. Even though, yes, I mean, there are collaborators even within your government that have allegedly been the key informants to these bandits. And so that's how easy access are granted to these bandits when it comes to breaking into different places. So, it's also not, on one hand, yes, he can call out the collaborators, but then when it comes to innocent citizens, I mean, how do you expect them? I mean, it's very unlikely, right? But really, that's really what it is. Buhari came to steal, kill, and destroy Nigeria. Evil Buhari and Fulani headsmen. Oh, wow. Can you imagine? Northern Nigeria is a menace. And, if anything, a lot of protests, a lot of, backlash, a lot of talk should be coming from the north, because really they've gone through a lot when it comes to insecurity. I mean, if there's anything, they need to make sure that their candidate is one they can make sure will fight for their security, because they have every right to literally decide who they want to, in terms of, okay, fine, will you help with dealing with security and making us feel safe? Because they should be one pioneering for who they want to be their president and have the assurance that they're competent enough to fight insecurity. And it's funny because the ruling party is the one that they can judge for themselves, but if you still want the ruling party to be the one to protect you, then it's on them. But I think as the northern people themselves, I feel like they've just got to unite really for their own sake, not even for the fact that they have to support whoever from the south or the Muslim ticket. They need to just think for themselves and understand, what, we have been violated. And if they think for themselves and, are looking for the most competent candidates to represent them or they're going to vote for, it would work in their favor. No one is trying to convince one to do any other thing but what is good for the country as a whole. So really, what can you do, to be honest? I mean, the South have theirs to deal with, and you might find it very weird I'm talking about the South and the North. I mean, at this point, they are literally two different countries, and they are so different in the way they approach a lot of things. So, the South is ready to go anytime. It's just the North where as they say, it's a game of numbers. So, a lot is heavily dependent on them for them to basically create a movement of their own and think for themselves. As simple as that. If those that are supposed to protect civilians are not safe, then what is their fate? Well, problem. What else can you do? Fact is, it's kind of a bit too late. I think what would happen is, really, you just have to trust that whoever you're putting in office would listen to you. Because right now, I don't want to sound negative, but there's really nothing we can do with the people in power, because it's not the first time Nigerians have been talking and trying to get them to listen. They just haven't. So really, accountability is very important for your new candidate, and also be sure that they will listen to you. And if they don't listen, what will you do about it? You can't just sit there and do nothing. Put what you think in the comment section below, and don't forget to like and subscribe.